G'day folks, welcome back. Keep spending money on useless stuff that have been done to the bike that are visible. But this bike has also got the extra wind protection on it in that tyre. So I'm actually booked in on Tuesday morning at G'day folks, welcome back. My name's Simon, and if this happens to be your first time here, this channel is all about motorcycles, adventure, camping and touring. Now, as promised, I said I'd make a video about some of the modifications that have been done to my 2020 Africa Twin in the time that I have owned it, which is since new, but basically in that year, I've made a lot of modifications to the bike in preparation for riding around the country and then around the world. So I thought I'd go over some of those with you, and I'm going to use the 360 camera for doing that because I can walk around the bike and I can show you what's going on and what's been put on it. So let's get right on into it. Okay, so we'll start at the front end of the bike because, well, it's the front and that makes it really, really easy. So first of all, I've added a plexiglass headlight cover onto it, and these are put on with little Velcro, heavy-duty industrial Velcro tabs so that they can't just come off. I've put a windscreen extender on, and that was like a $35 one from the Wish app, which everyone wishes they never got because they keep spending money on useless stuff. Anyway. So I've put that on, and to be honest, that's probably one of the best things I've ever put on the bike. As you can see, there's a lot of bugs stuck on this windscreen, but they hit that instead of hitting the screen on the helmet. So that's quite a good thing. Moving down, I've actually put on an extender onto the front mudguard, which stops some of the mud being flicked up into the radiators, onto the exhaust headers, that sort of thing. And I've also put on a riser, which gives it a 1-inch rise to lift that mudguard up to give just that bit more clearance around the front tyre. I literally couldn't have put my hand in there before. And then moving a little further back, crash bars. Now these are Ziga crash bars to fit the 2020 onwards Africa Twin. They're a two-part bar, basically. There's the upper crash bars and the lower crash bars. Now, if you want to fit the upper crash bars, you have to fit the lower crash bars. But you can buy just the lower ones if you want, and if you want to put on upper crash bars from a different manufacturer. But I kind of like these because not only can I use this as a footrest, like highway pegs, but it also protects the bottom of the engine, crankcase, that sort of thing. I also have a Ziga underbody protection, so a sump guard, and it's really heavy duty, really thick, and should take quite a few good beatings before it's done. The good thing about these crash bars, however, the best thing that I like about them is there's two little hex screws here, one on the front and one down below, and if you loosen those off and you take out that one bolt there, you can take the entire upper crash bar straight off, or you can simply swing it forward to get access to the engine really, really easily, and the centerpiece stays in place. So you can do that on either side, but I can get into the engine covers without having to take the crash bars off. I have my steady LED light cubes. These are the I think they call them the C4 Black Edition, so it's got 4 LEDs in each one. And today I've got the yellow covers on them. I've got black covers and I've got blue covers, but the yellow ones are good for riding around town, and when you're in back streets, being able to use your high beams without literally blinding everything within about a kilometre of you. So that's quite good. It's a little less offensive through people's front windows. And I've got some Lone Rider crash bar bags. These are the 6-litre bags, and that keeps my wet weather gear in it, that bag. So that's really quite handy there. Moving back a little further, just here I've got a wind protector, which stops some of the wind that gets funneled up through the forks from hitting the peak on your helmet and causing buffeting on your shoulders and your helmet, basically. And that's really quite handy so far as that goes. And that's from Pyramid Plastics in the UK, as is the front mudguard extender from Pyramid Plastics. And I will try and put links to all of the companies that make these things in the description of this video for you. I've got tech spec guard grips, tech spec tank grips, and these are really good, thick, high quality, and grip really quite well. There's one on each side, and there's one that's under the Moscow Moto Nomax tank bag that's up here. And I choose this tank bag because my rear panniers are Moscow Moto, and they make really good heavy duty stuff that's stood the test of time, basically. They travel the world themselves with motorbikes. I've got a cheap cover on the front seat here just to allow airflow to go through it and water to go under you without pooling up. That's actually quite good when I finally managed to stretch it enough to fit it on there. But I have had both the front seat and the rear seat recovered and redone with completely different foam padding in it that's dual density, so it grips, so it feels a lot more comfortable on your backside as you travel. We'll leave that for the moment and come back to it. So then moving a little bit further back here, I've got heated grips. They're Honda Genuine heated grips. And I chose the Honda Genuine ones because they're all controllable through the dashboard on the bike. And I've got the double take mirrors on here because they are basically the duck's nuts of adventure mirrors. They guarantee them to be non-breakable, basically, and that sounds like a good thing to me. And they're mounted with ram mounts, and you can very easily adjust them or just move them completely out of the way. I also have down here a quad lock for mounting phones or sat nav or whatever you want to mount onto it, and it's got the vibration dampener on it because, well, vibration, right? I also have a set of DVR cameras that run permanently on the bike whenever the bike's turned on, or if the bike's been knocked or whatever. That's what these red lights are that are on, that you see flashing when I'm actually riding. That's actually the DVR cameras. There's a front and rear mounted camera on there that basically run all the time, and they will save any file if the bike gets a hard enough knock or if I push one of these buttons. I've had, well, I've got GoPro mounts on either side of the dashboard here, which is obviously for the cameras that you see facing me while I'm riding. Down here I've put in just a normal cigarette lighter socket because the standard Africa Twin doesn't come with that. But I've also put up here a dual port USB what's-a-me-do's-it thing here as well, which is kind of useful because it means that I can charge GoPros or the Insta360 directly from up the front where they're mounted without having to actually take batteries out if I don't want to, which is really kind of handy. The Nomax tank bag here mounts with a strap that goes around your triple clamp or whatever the heck they call these things here, and comes up, and then two straps that go down, and they're simply on clips that are zip tied down onto the bike. Moving a little further back, down here I've actually got mounted a disc lock. I simply put this down here because it's out of the way, but what it does mean is that if I am leaving the bike somewhere where I'm a little bit worried about it, the bike does have an alarm. It's got the Honda Genuine alarm in it, but it does mean that I can stick on the disc lock as well, which just makes it that little bit harder to steal. And I also have here a Honda Genuine quick shifter. The good thing about that, again, is I can simply go into the dash display and I can adjust it if I need to change the way it shifts and so on. And then looking back here, these are Outback Motortech pannier mounts, and I went with Outback Motortech because they're recommended by Moscow Moto to mount their mounting chucks onto, which is what this bit is here, the plastic bit. And so I was really happy that I got these because these are really quite strong and seem like they'll put up with a bit of punishment. The unfortunate thing was when I bought these though, I didn't realise that I had to buy that because on the 2020 model on the standard Africa Twin, it didn't come with the rear grab bar here. It came with a really crappy strap that went across here that the first time we tried to remove the bolt from, the bolt snapped off. So it really makes you wonder if you'd want to be hanging onto it if the bolts just snap off. So I had to go and then buy this, which then comes with all the mounting parts to be able to mount the Outback Motortech pannier rack. And it braces itself across the rear here and braces across to the other pannier rack. Then up on top here is a Shad, what is it, 49 litre top box, I think it is. It's an alloy top box, which is really quite good. Reason why I went for that is one, well, advertising, right? But two, being alloy, it's that little bit more secure. It's that little bit more stable and sturdy for long distance trips. And that has the Shad mounting kit that's underneath it, which you have to buy the mounting kit and then the top box mount and then the top box all separately. And yeah, it's not a cheap little thing. And these are the Moscow Moto Backcountry 35 pannier bags. Now, I've only got this one on here at the moment because it's the empty one, and thus it was easy to pick up and just bring out for this video. The reason why I went with soft pannier bags is because, well, when you don't have so much stuff in there, you can compress them down quite a bit and thus take up some of the excessive amounts of space that the bike needs to go through. And also, they're very easy to remove. This is actually the one that mounts on the left side because it's got the piece at the back here where I put a 4 litre MSR water bladder. And it's got my first aid kit, which is then on the left side of the bike, which is easy for me to get to if I'm getting on and off the bike and need to get hold of it. So there's some of the modifications that have been done to the bike that are visible. But this bike has also got the extra wind protection on it from Honda down there. And what that does is that helps push some of the hot air from the fans out to the side a little bit more so you're not superheating your legs. And it's also got extra wind protection up at the front here, also genuine Honda, which I found actually did do quite a good job of pushing that wind out from hitting my shoulders so much. And I've got the RAM mount for the Insta360 camera on here. Obviously it can be unscrewed and mounted anywhere on the bike that I can get it to grip onto, but I find, to be honest, that actually having it mounted up here is really quite good because I can get a lot of different perspectives from here. So from that point I can get the front wheel, I can get myself, I can get riding straight ahead, I can look out to the sides, and that makes it really quite good so far as that. Now, there are other modifications to the bike that aren't visible. Now, I'm not going to go pull the seats off simply because that's not necessary right at this moment. But under the seats here, I also have a Merit plug, which is the small version of a cigarette lighter plug, the ones that most people look at and they have no idea what they are. And I'll put a picture of them up on the screen for you. I've got that because once you plug into it, the plug can't just fall out, and I actually have an extension cord with a 2 cigarette lighter plug socket, 12-volt socket on them on the end of the extension, which means that I can then wrap that up in the pannier bag or strap it up to something if I've got to charge it while I'm on the move. And I also have another 2 USB ports under the back seat here. Then under the front seat, again not visible, I'm sorry, I do have a Heel-Tech Speedo Healer, which means that my speedometer is calibrated to GPS, which is accurate as opposed to what your normal speedo is, which is 5 kilometers an hour out. So it's a Heel-Tech Speedo Healer, and I've also got a the unit for the DVR cameras. Now the DVR cameras that are mounted on the bike, so one of them is just here, which obviously gets a lot of mud and dirt on it, but still it'll show things. And the other one that's mounted on the bike is mounted at the front right here. And bizarrely, most people never notice they're there. They notice all the other cameras, but they never notice them, which is really quite good. Anyway guys, so as you can see, there's a lot of little modifications on the bike that have been taken place over the year. I also didn't mention that I have Alpina tubeless rims, front and rear, on the bike. Reason why I got the Alpina tubeless rims is because, well, with my allergy to chemicals from within the rubber on tyres, I don't want to be having to take tyres on and off and change tubes or repair tubes on the road. Okay, so the Insta360 cameras just decided to stop. So the reason why I went for the Alpina rims was simply because I wanted tubeless rims on the bike, and there was no real other options, because the ones that apparently, the tubeless rims made for the Adventure Sport on 2020 model onwards, apparently don't fit the standard model. I don't know, I can't 100% be certain about that, but that's what I was told. So of course I had to go for something completely aftermarket for the bike. And obviously, you know, when you're looking at traveling Australia and then the world, literally having as much ability to keep yourself going while you're out there without any extra help is a good thing. So tubeless rims, you simply plug them and keep riding. Plug them, reinflate them and keep riding. And I use little CO2 inflators for that, because that'll get you to the nearest place where there's a air compressor. I am considering buying a little air compressor to go with me when I actually go overseas. But of course I'm limited to what I can put in the panniers, the top box, and the other bag that I've got. However, you know, we'll come back to that, because I'm going to do a video which is just a gear load out for you as to what's actually mounted on the bike. Hey guys, so with having all the crash bars, with the different luggage mounting options that I've got here, I do actually have quite a lot of different options. For instance, on the Rise of the Phoenix Season 1, I was using a Moscow Moto backcountry 30-litre top bag, and I found that that was quite inconvenient. And when I started using top boxes, I found them to be a lot more convenient. So as such, I've stuck with that. However, I will be using that, that top bag, and I will be mounting it on top of the top box, because what I've found is I can actually keep my sleeping bag and my underquilt for the hammock in this bag completely uncompressed. So they're permanently lofted up, which is better for them, but they're waterproof and they're easy to get to. And because literally the weight of that bag with all of that in there is going to be about 2 kilos at the most, probably not even a kilo, but it can sit on top of the top box here. And when I get on and off the bike, I'm swinging my leg through the gap here, so therefore it's not in the way. Whereas if I actually put it on the back seat there, I have to swing my leg up and over the top box, which is a long way up. But I've got lots of different mounting options for things. Like I say, my wet weather gear can go into these bags on each side. I also keep a tool kit in the other side, but we'll go into that when we look at the gear load out for the bike on the next video. I just wanted to be able to film this one this afternoon because it's not so bright and sunny that I have to wear sunglasses. It's literally 6 o'clock in the evening at the moment, and it's actually quite pleasant outside. So apart from the person who's mowing their lawn a couple of yards up and the squawking of the birds, it's actually a perfect afternoon for recording because, well, don't have to wear sunglasses and you're not simply being whited out by the bright sunlight. However, that video was okay. The video about the Motos Tractionator GPS tyres that I made, however, made me look at the back tyre. And when the mechanics had the tyre off recently, I think they've put it on the wrong way around because I'm running on the mostly off-road setting on that tyre. So I'm actually booked in on Tuesday morning at the local Honda dealer where I'm at the moment to have that tyre turned around the other way back to 50/50, which is fine for me. And then as soon as that's done, I'm actually hitting the road on season 2 of the Rise the Phoenix tour, and that's my big trip from northern New South Wales heading down into Tasmania and wherever from there. Anyway, folks, if you got something out of today's video with having a look at the gear that's mounted on the bike, like I say, I will try and put links for everything in the description of the video. No, I'm not sponsored by any of these companies. No, I don't get any kickbacks from these companies. I'm simply giving you a list of the places where I got things from and the equipment that I use because I think it's good equipment. And I did a lot of research on this equipment before buying it to put on this bike because I knew where I wanted to go and how far I wanted to travel. Therefore, I needed gear that could actually do the job right for me. So look, if you got something out of this video, please give me a big thumbs up and consider hitting that subscription button down below if you haven't already subscribed, and drop me a comment and tell me what sort of gear you've got on your bike and what sort of gear you think that I should have on here on top of what's already on here. So let me know what gear you think I'm missing on the bike for a round Australia and then round the world trip, but also tell me about what gear you've got mounted on your bike and, you know, and how that helps you. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching today. I really hope that you've got something out of it, so give us a thumbs up. And until we meet again, ride safe and get out and live your own adventure. So would you believe it, I completely forgot to mention the fact that I also have bark busters. These are the bark busters Storm that are mounted on this bike, and these are really good. They're heavy duty. They've got the full aluminium brace that runs all the way through and mounts onto the handlebars, and they've also got a big plastic cover on them which does block a lot of the wind, does block a fair bit of water. It obviously still comes around the back of it because it creates a vacuum behind it, but it does block a lot of stuff from hitting your hands. Of course, if you're out in the bush, that might be enough to save you from getting broken knuckles or something like that. So yeah, the Barkbusters Storm handguards. I mean, there's a lot of things mounted on this bike, and to be honest, I've probably missed some of it because there are so many things that have been done to it. Like I had a full custom wiring harness made just to be able to mount the spotlights and all the electrical ports that I have throughout the bike, and that was because the bike's electrical system is set up to run the bike, and because it runs through a CAN bus, apparently it's dangerous to go and hook things into that because it can really mess with the system. So we made our own wiring harness, and it gets triggered from the accessories when the ignition's turned on the bike. Once the ignition's on, that powers up that other harness through a relay, and that then allows me to power the other things that I need. So, I mean, there's been lots of little things like that that have been done to this bike over the time that I've had it, and I mean, we're talking a lot of money to be able to set it all up. However, it's done now and it's ready to go. All I need to do is manage to pack everything into the bags that I need and hit the road, and that's next week. So until then, anyway, as I say, ride safe, be safe, and get out and live your own adventure.